You will never see life the same way again after hearing these lessons at 70 years old. Turning 70 is not the end. It is a major turning point, one where you no longer chase after anyone, no longer feel the need to please anyone, and finally start living for yourself, if you are brave enough to reflect. Yet many people, even after living more than half a century, still do not truly understand what happiness is, what is worth holding on to, and what needs to be let go. Some only realize too late that they spent their entire life chasing things that were never worth it. And some lessons only hit the deepest when we reach the final chapters of our journey. So what exactly will change you forever at 70? It is not some miracle drug, and it is not a secret to getting rich. It is the simple truths, so simple, yet powerful enough to wake you up, to heal even the deepest regrets you thought you had buried forever. In today's video, I will share with you the priceless lessons that most of us wish we had learned much earlier. And I believe, if you stay with me until the end, at least one of these lessons will touch your heart and make you want to live the rest of your life differently. Before we begin, take a moment to leave a comment below with a positive affirmation as a way to attract good things into your life. Something like, "I cherish every moment of my life," or anything else that speaks to your heart. And do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss more content like this. Together, let us create a space full of positive energy where we can grow and succeed. Now, let us step into this journey together and explore the lessons that will make you look back and smile, because you have come so far. 1. No one can save you better than you can save yourself. At 70, people stop expecting much from life, but that is exactly why the truth becomes clearer than ever. No one can save you better than you can save yourself. It sounds simple, but it is something you only truly understand after you have been through enough ups and downs. You see, for a long stretch of life, we wait. We wait for our children to call, for someone to check in, for a bit of care from the outside world to feel needed. But that kind of waiting easily turns into longing, into heartache. Because in reality, everyone has their own life. And if we do not know how to care for ourselves, no one else can do it for us forever. Love from children, friends, or even a kind word from a stranger. Those are all beautiful gifts. But you will come to see that real strength does not come from the outside. It comes from how you get up every morning, look in the mirror and say, "Today, I am still here. I can still live well." For me, taking care of yourself is no longer some grand act. It starts with the smallest things: drinking enough water, doing a few stretches in the morning, eating balanced meals, walking around the house, or simply taking a deep breath and feeling alive. And most importantly, learning to talk to yourself kindly, without judgment, without harsh expectations. The soul of an older person is incredibly sensitive. Sometimes, just one cold gesture is enough to leave your heart feeling empty for the whole day. But when you learn how to manage your emotions, knowing when to stay quiet, when to smile, and when to wrap yourself in your own embrace, that is when you truly become free. At this age, being independent is not about proving anything. It is about letting each day pass with more ease, without expectations, without disappointment. It is about being true to yourself and loving yourself with all that you have. 2. Happiness is not a destination. It is how you see everything. There are things we only understand after we have walked a very long road, and happiness is one of them. When we are young, we think happiness lies ahead. Do more, achieve more, and one day you will be fulfilled. But at 70, you begin to realize happiness is not at the finish line. It is in the way you look at life each day. In our younger years, we rush around, racing against time, trying to please others, chasing love, money, recognition. And yet, we still end up lying in bed at night feeling empty, because we never really learned how to listen to ourselves. Now, at 70, life has quieted down, and you finally have time to observe, not just the world, but your own soul. you start to realize that happiness does not come from anything grand. It comes from the smallest, most ordinary moments. A quiet morning, a warm cup of tea, a call from someone who cares, or simply the relief of letting go of self-blame. Happiness is not about having more. It is about seeing more in what you already have. Just by changing your perspective, everything around you begins to feel more precious. At this age, you do not need to live fast or live loud. Just live true. Slow enough to feel it all. Gentle enough to be grateful. Less comparison, fewer expectations, and more love. 3. Time is no longer endless, but there is still enough for meaningful change. 70 is no longer just the doorway to retirement like people once thought. It is not the end of personal growth or the desire to live fully. On the contrary, this is when you can begin a whole new chapter. One where you are free to choose the story, the pace, and the meaning. We were raised in a generation where the elderly were told, once you stop contributing, your role ends. That after retirement, you should settle down and live quietly. But the world has changed. And more importantly, you can change too if you allow yourself. Change does not have to be dramatic. It can begin by learning to forgive, by learning to love your aging body, by picking up a new skill, or simply by daring to say, I want to live differently. Every small step you take today could open a whole new path for the rest of your life. Do not underestimate the power of a fresh mindset. No matter your age, you do not need to prove anything to anyone, but you absolutely can live more deeply, more freely, more inspired, if that is what you want. 4. Sometimes silence is the greatest way to love yourself. When we are young, we think we have to argue, to explain, to speak up, to defend our point, to prove our worth. But at some point, you realize, the more you talk, the more drained you feel. Not every battle is worth entering. Not everyone needs to understand you. And it is okay if they do not, because what matters most is that you understand yourself. Older people do not need to speak up at every moment. You do not need to be right. You do not need to jump into loud conversations or into lives filled with drama. Social media today is a noisy battlefield. Every day, hundreds of opinions clash about politics, religion, lifestyle, personal beliefs. And if you are not careful, your mind can be pulled into a spiral of negativity without even realizing it. At this age, what you need most is not more information. It is more space for your mind to rest. Avoiding negative energy is not running away. It is self-preservation. When you choose silence in the face of negativity, you are not weak. You are choosing peace. When you skip the pointless debates, you are protecting your inner calm. Silence is a kind of therapy. In stillness, the mind has a chance to heal itself. You start to hear so much more, from your own breath to the emotions you have been neglecting. In silence, you do not have to pretend to be strong. You do not have to force a smile. You just get to be you. No show, no mask. And strangely enough, the quieter you are, the deeper people feel your presence. You are not loud, but you are not invisible. You may not say much, but when you do, your words carry weight. Because you no longer need to prove anything. You have lived enough to know. Peace is worth more than 1,000 words. 5. Health is the final power. Most people do not realize the value of their health until it begins to slip away. When your legs are no longer steady, your sleep becomes restless, and every step feels tiring. That is when it hits you. What truly matters is not just living a long life, but living a healthy life every single day. Not to prove anything to anyone, but to still be able to care for yourself and to enjoy simple freedoms, like dressing yourself, going to the market, or cooking a meal you love. You do not need to become an athlete, nor follow an extreme diet, but you do need to start loving your body like a lifelong friend, with gentleness, consistency, and patience. Just 15 to 20 minutes a day can significantly transform your quality of life. Try gentle exercises that are suitable for an aging body. Take a slow walk in the park or around your yard every morning. No rush, just consistency. Practice senior-friendly yoga with simple movements that relax your muscles Support your breathing and keep your joints flexible. Meditate and take deep breaths to soothe your mind, lower your blood pressure, and ease anxiety, especially if you struggle with stress or insomnia. Eat balanced meals. You do not have to be overly strict, but choose fresh, easy-to-digest foods and cut back on oil, sugar, and salt. Get enough sleep and try to go to bed at the same time each night, giving your body the chance to recharge and heal naturally. Health is the one thing no one else can give you. You have to build it and protect it yourself. The good news is, no matter your age, it is never too late to start. Look at your body as a reliable companion. It has carried you through all the highs and lows of life. Now it is your turn to repay it, with care and real love. Because in the end, it is not about who stays with you. It is about whether your body is strong enough for you to live each remaining day to the fullest. 6. Real relationships are quiet, but they are always there. At this age, you do not need 100 friends to feel like you are not alone. Honestly, just 2 or 3 meaningful friendships, people you deeply trust and who are genuinely there for you, make you rich in the most important way. The kind of friends you can call at midnight just to say, "I am exhausted," and all they have to say is, "I get it. I am here." That is the kind of connection worth keeping. There is a hard truth to accept. When you have nothing left to offer, no money, no energy, no influence, many people will quietly disappear. But that is also when you find out who truly stays, who loves you not for what you have, but for who you are. True relationships are built on presence, on non-judgmental listening, on sincere forgiveness, and most importantly, on not expecting too much from each other. You do not need to go out together all the time or talk every day. It is enough to know that if one day you are feeling weak or empty, someone still thinks of you, and that alone warms your heart. If there is one thing worth doing at this age, it is nurturing a few deep, meaningful bonds. A tea date, a handwritten card, a phone call just to ask, "How are you today?" These seemingly small things are the strongest threads that hold people together. And sometimes, just by being the one who reaches out first, you will find warmth coming back to you in the most natural way. Let go of the idea of perfect relationships. Everyone is flawed. Everyone has hurt someone before. But if you can still sit together and laugh about the past, or simply share silence without it feeling awkward, then that is a relationship worth cherishing. 7. Letting go is not weakness, it is wisdom. There are things you might not truly understand until you reach this age. Like letting go, when we are young, we often see it as a sign of failure, of giving up, of being weak. But the longer you live, the more you realize. Letting go is not about lacking the strength to hold on, but having enough life experience to know what is worth keeping and what is not. At 70, your heart begins to soften. Old grudges that once seemed unshakable, regrets and guilt from the past, unfulfilled expectations, they all begin to fade into shadows. Because by now, you understand, nothing hurts more than holding on to the things that hurt you. You once placed a lot of expectations on yourself, on your children, on life. But when those expectations are not met, what follows is usually disappointment, resentment, and pain. Sometimes you even try to control everything, wanting things to go your way, wanting your children to live according to your values. But the more you tried to control, the more alone and disconnected you felt. Wisdom, at this stage of life, is choosing calm over conflict. It is knowing that the less you cling to, the lighter your heart becomes. Not because you stopped caring, but because you chose to care in a more peaceful way. You no longer need to fight the past, nor stress too much about the future. The present, living fully in each moment, is more than enough. Letting go is forgiveness. Forgiving those who hurt you. Forgiving yourself for your past mistakes. Letting go is acceptance. Accepting that life is not perfect, that things not going your way is also a part of growth. Letting go is smiling gently at what you cannot change, because you know there is still so much to be grateful for. And most of all, Letting go is an act of love toward yourself. It is when you stop trying so hard, when you no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone, when you can finally say to yourself, I have done my best. Now just being myself, that is enough. 8. The truth about loneliness. It is not the enemy, but a gift, loneliness. Just hearing the word can bring feelings of sadness, emptiness, and the fear of being left behind. Especially at 70, when your children are grown, friends become fewer, and maybe your life partner has already passed. Loneliness can become a lingering fear. But you know what? If you look at it differently, you will see that loneliness is not your enemy. Sometimes it is a priceless gift that allows you to understand yourself more deeply than ever. When we are young, we are always surrounded by relationships, expectations, and constant conversations. Time alone feels strange, even uncomfortable. But now, at this age, you have the chance to slow down. And instead of seeing silence as emptiness, what if you saw it as a pause, a space for your mind to relax, a space for your heart to finally listen? There is no need to fear the quiet. Learn to befriend it. A slow morning with a warm cup of tea and a good book. A corner in your garden where you water your plants and watch life unfold gently. A journal to write down thoughts, memories, or random emotions. A cat, a plant, an old song. Sometimes that is all it takes to make a home feel full. Being alone does not mean being lonely. When you learn to enjoy this time, it becomes a rich, private world where you do not need to chase anyone, do not need to please anyone. Just be yourself, fully and peacefully. You have spent your life living for others, for duty, for responsibility. Now it is your time to live for yourself, without guilt, without shame. And it is in these quiet moments alone that you finally touch the peace you spent so long looking for in others. 9. The past is for looking back, not for living in 70 is a special milestone, because you now hold a treasure trove of memories. Some memories make you smile, while others still sting a little. Wrong choices, harsh words, moments you hurt someone, or yourself. It all plays like an old film in your mind, and sometimes the past is what keeps you from truly living in the present. But here is the truth. No one goes through life without making mistakes. It is simply part of being human. What matters is not what you did, but what you learned from it. Mistakes do not define you. How you grow from them does. Try looking back with a different set of eyes. Eyes that no longer blame, no longer regret. Because the truth is, you did the best you could with the knowledge and emotions you had at that time. And that is enough. Forgiving yourself is not denying your mistakes. It is accepting that you are human, not perfect, but always capable of growth. Self-forgiveness may be the hardest journey, but it is also the most important one in the later years of life. It is the key that unlocks inner peace. Forgiveness is not about forgetting, it is about letting go. Not about erasing, but about continuing, more gently, more freely. Remember, the past is for looking back, so you can learn, understand, and be grateful. But you do not need to live there. Life only happens in the present. What is done cannot be changed. But how you live today, that can change how you feel about your whole life. You see, 70 years is no small number. But the most beautiful truth is this. As long as you are alive, you still have the power to change, to learn, to love, and to find meaning. Now you no longer need to carry too much or prove anything to anyone. You can choose a peaceful life, where health is the priority, where relationships are nurtured with sincerity, and where loneliness is no longer a fear, but a gentle companion. Remember, growing old does not make you useless. It makes you valuable in a completely unique way. Everything you have learned in these 70 years, the scars, the lessons, the laughter, and the tears, they have made you strong, deep, and worthy of admiration. And if you are still here reading these words, remind yourself of one thing. I am still here. I still have time. And I will live the rest of my life as meaningfully as I can. Before we wrap up, leave a comment below with a positive affirmation to yourself, something like, "I choose to live each day with gratitude and peace," or anything you wish to share with the world. And do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another warm, uplifting message like this. 70 years old. It is a gift, a new journey, and you deserve to enjoy it with all the love you have for yourself.